Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Hannah from Tula Being Mindful Movement, and we are back in the hammock for today's practice. I thought today's practice could combine three of the poses that I broke down in the 6 weeks challenge to find your flight in the aerial hammock, our journey to our first inversion. So I'm choosing to break down those three poses of back lean into chair and silkworm, but there's going to be quite a few more new moves and a way to integrate some of those movements together in today's kind of flow practice. So we want to start with our hammock at the higher level, which is roughly at that hip bone, a little bit lower than the hip bone into the hip flexor height. Now I do have breakdowns of a lot of these poses in that 6-week part, Find Your Flight. I'll hit the link into the bio underneath this video. Let's go ahead and bring the fabric behind us. We're standing under plumb line, that center point between the two pillars of fabric. And let's just begin by bringing ourselves into our body, into this moment. Feet a good hip width apart. Relax the arms beside the body. Start to draw focus with the eyes to fix the gaze to a nice, easy, low point on the earth or in front of you. Take an inhale now through the nose. Sigh the breath away. Soften the knees. Bring the backs of the palms together and start to bring the hands up towards the ceiling and open up through heart space, opening up through those arms. Exhale, circle the arms down. We'll do that 2 more times. Soften the knees, bring the backs of the palms together. Chin can tuck down a little bit and then start to open out through the heart, straightening more through the legs. One more time, moving with breath, opening and closing a little through the heart space. One more time to reach the arms up. This time we'll pause with the hands reaching up, step back underneath that center point, plumb line if you're not already there, and take a nice easy grip. Fingers pressing into the center of your palm. Stay with your feet under plumb line, grip firmly with your fingers, and then start to lean back without loosening the grip. Once you've found tension on the fabric, now soften the grip, slowly but surely easing your back body into the fabric. You have not moved your feet, you're nice and strong through the core and your legs, and then find yourself in a back lean, a back wrap of the fabric. We want to bring that fabric just underneath the shoulder blades. It is not hanging out and tucking right up and into the armpits. It wants to be a little lower than the armpits. And you can always spread the fabric out wider like a big thick belt for a bit more support. So you might do a little maneuver, a little grip, sway here of the body, and keeping the feet at hip width. And then start to reach those arms back, known as mountain peak. You're going to reach those fingertips. If you feel like you can, start to hover the heels and then lower those heels back down to the earth. And then we're not going to bend the legs. We're just going to take like a big banana sway here. Now you could have hands at heart or holding onto the fabric. You could have the hands on your belly if you're feeling like adding the extension of the arms feels too much. And you could also draw the gaze down, perhaps towards your feet. So we want to try to avoid dropping the hips downwards. We want to keep that integrity through the core. We're holding for one more breath. And then bring yourself back through center, inhale, and then lower those arms. Still seeing if we can stay nice and strong through the core. Same thing to the other side, reaching those arms away, hips away. Maybe you'll take the gaze down towards those hips. If you feel like it's too strong, keeping the arms straight, maybe you're choosing a different shape. Lowering the arms can take a little bit of edge off the core. You could always bring one arm lower. You'll play around with that. One more breath, feeling into core, lower ribs staying contained, slightly hugged in, and then back through to center. So this time, take hold of the fabric, walk the feet wider, keep the toes turned out. If you can, reach the arms, you could always stay holding on. Bend through one leg and start to bring that same arm across the body. And then inhale through to center. A little bit of a stargaze variation to the other side. Exhale, and then inhale back to center. So we're swaying side to side in a nice controlled way here. Try not to fling the body in any way. See if you can stay nice and strong through the core here. Side to side sways. Can you remember which side that you started on? And then one more either side. Come back through to center. Reach the arms back for a breath. Take hold of the fabric. Heel and toe the feet closer together. They can stay roughly at hip width. We're going to walk the feet forwards of plumb line and land the hips under plumb line. Again, make sure that the fabric behind you is underneath the shoulder blades. It isn't into the armpits, and that's the difference that you might see there. We want to be caught with the fabric under the shoulder blades. And then just take a moment here to sway the hips. Feel into this posture of giving your weight to the fabric. For some of us who are new to this style of practice, this might feel a little intense. So feel free to walk the feet back, take a little breather, come back when you can. We're giving traction to that spine at the moment. And if you have any injuries of the spine or any niggles, we do want to make sure that we are fit and healthy to continue and stay here. And sometimes it's just building a tolerance for us in our own body. Come to stillness. Take hold of the fabric nice and firm if you feel a little unstable, or if you're quite comfy, you could just press the back edge of the wrist into the back edge of the fabric there. I'm going to bring my feet a little closer than hip width. Bring the weight into your left foot. I'll do a mirror opposite, and then hook your right ankle on top of the left knee. Taking a moment to pause and just check in. Has your right hip dropped? We want to try to avoid this. See if you can keep both hips roughly level. Some of us might even feel up for bringing a hand lightly onto that bent leg. I like to keep the foot flexed here. That's the right foot flexed so that we're bringing the toes back towards the knee. One more breath. Take hold of the fabric. Pull down into the fabric, hover that right knee up and in towards you, push out straight through that left leg, squeeze the glutes and lift the hips forwards, engage the core. Take one more breath. Can you hover that knee any closer towards you? And then place the foot down. Bend through the legs. We'll swap it over to the other side. So if you're comfortable releasing the grip of the fabric, let's swap that bent leg. Figure of four shape created through the legs, flexing through the left toes. If you're up for it, maybe a hand is placed lightly onto that knee. It's not that I'm pushing really firmly down. It's just a sense of grounding here. And then again, we'll grab hold of the fabric nice and high. Push out through that right leg. Hover left knee up and in. Engage the core, engage the glutes. Draw that knee up and in towards your chest. You could always take the gaze up. One more breath. Nice and strong core and legs. And then place the foot back down. Go ahead and bend through those knees back into chair pose. And then start to straighten the legs, walk those feet back. I'm going to take a little breather here. Hold on to the fabric. Your feet are under plumb line. Bend the knees, draw the weight forwards, pull down firmly, and perhaps you can roll up as you inhale. Let's go ahead and swing the fabric out in front of us. So we had the fabric roughly under plumb line there, feet at hip width. Soften through the knees and place the hands on top of the fabric like it's a straight bar in front of you as you push the fingers forwards. Take an inhale and then roll up, soften through the knees, exhale. Standing tall, check in with those hands. We're trying to avoid the index finger dropping down or the little finger nice and straight. I've got the thumb hooked underneath the back edge. Soften the knees, start to straighten through the arms. Keep the knees soft. Try to avoid collapsing the heart. Can you keep your ears roughly aligned with the inside of those arms? Exhale, roll your way back up. We could call this a variation of cat-cow. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, roll up. So we're going to do this one more time. Come to pause, lengthening the fingers forwards. This time, grip the fabric and start to pull your knuckles together, bending through the elbows, and let your heart sink, known as mule pose. So let your head become heavy. Keep the knees soft. And I haven't interlaced the fingers here. The hands are still separate. And maybe you might enjoy a little sway of the upper body, the torso from side to side. You don't have to add this in, or it might be much smaller movements. Seeing if you can add a little expansion through the side waist, through the heart space. See if you can connect movement to an inhale and exhale. And then softly come back through to center. Extend the arms. Let's roll back up again, nice and controlled. Soften the knees. Rolling up. From here, let's go ahead and come around to the front edge of the fabric. Turn to face your fabric, and let's see if we can find one edge. And sometimes there's a little bit of rolled up fabric there. I'm stepping away from plumb line, swaying the fabric out side to side like a big flag. You want to see the whole length of that fabric opening up here. All right, we're going to turn our backs to the fabric, and as I do that, I'm hooking my thumbs into that front edge we've just found behind the back. And we'll take 6 gathers of fabric. Now note here, or side note, don't walk back yet under plumb line. Stay forwards, keep that tension on the fabric. We'll take 6 handfuls. Reach the fingers long, gather into the thumb, that's 1. We're doing 5 more. 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we can step back under plumb line. So I'm going to look up, elbows to the inside, hands a little bit wider than hips, otherwise we're going to sit on those hands. Press down firmly, come up onto your toes or releve. And then you want to shift the weight into one leg. I invite you to hover that knee and then place the foot down, stay on the ball of the foot. We're just doing a little extra drill here. See if you can swap it over to the other side. If you need to lower the heels between the sides, you can do that. I like to really focus my gaze. I'm quite concentrated here, working with a little bit of balance, strength, stability. All right. I'm going to go ahead and pause now on this last side. This is my favored side. Press down firmly and then pull the fabric without jumping your way into the fabric. So you're pulling it forwards as you sit yourselves back. Pull the fabric right up until you find the back of those knees. Reach the arms high and take the back edge of the fabric nice and high. You want to pull the fabric up and over your head and then pull it forward so you're wrapping it around your body. We're going to be lying back for our silkworm here. Slowly start to curl your way down, chin to the chest, guide yourself into the fabric. And you might want to do a little shuffle so that you feel quite even on your back body. And then we'll kick the heels one by one into that front edge of the fabric so that you find your whole body inside, also known as cocoon pose, where we'll be ending our practice in a few moments. I want to shuffle my way onto one side, so I'm going to turn towards my left side. So if I'm turning to my left, I want to reach my right arm up and grab the fabric, usually towards the left side, and then pull down as I shuffle onto my left side. We're stacking right shoulder, right hip on top of the left. And then you might want to just create a little pillow with your hands underneath the left side of your face. And perhaps you're just pausing here, noticing how the weight feels, how the movement that naturally sways the fabric feels. So we're heading towards a silkworm variation here, where we're going to start to hug the knees in towards the elbows. Now, some people prefer a little more sort of space here. If you feel like it's too much, you can always pull and have a little more sort of space around your face. If you feel like the fabric is feeling too much in your face, you could do that too and sort of tuck in. I'm feeling okay with it over my face. And we're seeing if we can now unravel, kick the heels back towards the head behind you and open through the front of the body like a C shape. So we're going to be closing into a little ball, knees towards the elbows and face, and then push the heels back. Now I quite like to add a little lengthening through the legs as I do this. So I'm going to now come back into my little ball, but I'm going to extend the legs first, sweep the toes towards the side, then bring the elbows to the knees and then kick the heels in. So it's like we're doing this wonderful circular motion with the heels. We kick them back behind us and then point the toes forwards. Sway those toes all the way out to the side with the legs straight if you can, and then draw the knees in. And let's do 2 more of those. I'm seeing if I can lightly press down into the fabric with my feet and my shoulders. There's a sense of lifting through the rib cage ever so slightly, so I'm not just dumping all of my weight down into the fabric. And then slowly come back to neutral, and we'll come onto our back body. Take a moment, pause before you think about heading to the second side. Let's just sort of feel into our breath, feel into any momentum that might be happening around us and internally. And then we'll go for the second side. So reaching up across the body, pull yourself onto the right side now. And then creating a little cushion with your hands underneath the right side of the face. And then starting to tuck the knees and elbows in. So you're creating a little ball. Feeling what it feels like on this side. I'm just pausing here. And then I'm thinking about pushing the knees back and the heels back behind me towards the buttocks, opening through the front body, through the heart space. And then tuck the knees back in. So this time I'm going to think about lengthening the legs as well. So I want to kick the heels away from me, extending straight through the legs, and then sweep them back, and then kick the heels in towards the buttocks. So we're doing this extra kind of big circular motion through the feet, if you could imagine that. Opening up through the heart as you inhale perhaps. And then exhale the breath away as you tuck the knees towards elbows and face. We'll go for 2 more of those. Can you press lightly down into your heels, into the shoulders, so that there is a sense of lifting up of the rib cage. You notice your core having to switch on a little bit more there, all the stabilizing muscles. And then coming through to stillness. And once again, onto your spine. It is time for us to settle into cocoon, our shavasana time of our practice. A few things that you might like to try in cocoon could be legs long or soles of feet together and the knees wide, known as Supta Baddha Konasana for those yogis, or a butterfly shape. You might like to bring the arms out of the top edge of the fabric and let the elbows bend, just hooking around that top edge of the fabric, fingers draped towards the earth. And inhale deeply here. Open up the mouth. Sigh the breath away. Time to settle in for stillness. Start to bring conscious awareness back to your surroundings. And then start to lengthen your body. Take a deep stretch as you inhale. Exhale. You might like to already start to kick the heels out, or just start to sway the heels and the shoulders the same direction and then the other, a little bit like this banana shape inside of the fabric, so that you can feel a sense of flaring through the ribs as you open and close. And then in the next breath or two, Begin to kick the heels out through the front edge of the fabric, catching the fabric behind the back of the knees. Then reach your hands up above your face, up to the ceiling. Grab that back edge of the fabric to pull your way up. I invite you to come to pause, seated in the fabric. Arms are going to be around the back edge, fabric behind the back of those knees. And then maybe you start to bow forward so that your shoulders could begin to catch in the front edge of the fabric. Our floating child's pose here. You might like to stay seated for a little while longer, maybe even upright seated. But when it is time to end and come out of the fabric, let's do that nice and safely. Grab the fabric high, grip the fabric firmly, pull down, hugging elbows in. At the same time, press the back of the knees to the front edge of the fabric to land safely and quietly. Reach the arms up, hands to heart. A moment to be present with yourself. A moment perhaps to send in a little well wish towards yourself. Thank you for joining today's mindful movement practice. I bow to you.
Thank you for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to like it below, subscribe to my channel, and hit the bell icon. Not only will this keep you up to date with my offerings, but will keep content like Tula Being free and accessible to all.